In this video, I'm going to do the setup for our intro camera cinematic. Now, to roughly talk through what I want to do, as the previous one that I was experimenting with, that's fine. I'm just going to move that. I'll just keep that there. Okay, so just if you see this extra camera, just ignore it. What I want to do is I have my text fade in, right? If I hit play, you should have this all working, and then it will go into our player camera. What I want to do is I want to have a panning shot of my level. So I actually want to go from my UI fade in to my camera and do a little movement and to show a little bit from my level. And then once that ends, I want to go into my player camera. Now, in order to do that, we're going to set this up through a level sequence. You can already see this previous one that I made. Essentially, it is a piece of information that exists inside of your level that holds on to information related to game objects that you can animate. So just like we did our color, our text color, opacity, and all that stuff, we can actually move things around inside of a level sequence as long as it exists inside the level. So to create this, I'm just going to do all the setup, and we're not going to actually keyframe animate anything quite yet, but I'm going to get us ready to do that. If you come to the top, there's two ways to do this. You can actually just come to the top and press cinematics and add level sequence, and that, if I hover over, it will tell you what it's doing. If you make the level sequence down here, you can do that. You just have to make sure that you put it in the level as well. So I'm just going to do the easier way up here. So add level sequence and tell it where in your project folder you want it to save. Call this intro, what do I want to call this? Intro establishing shot. All right, cool. You'll see your sequencer window pop up over here. I'm going to go back to my content browser, and what's happened is it has put this level sequence that has created it inside of my scene. You'll see I have it selected here. If you want to reorganize this, it's usually a good idea. But for as long as I know where it is, I think I'm fine with it for now. And in addition to this, we have our project asset, and then it placed it in the level. So once you have this selected, so if you make sure that you have it selected, you can also double click it, sure. And you need to start adding tracks into your sequence. Now, what I want to happen is think about what you need. You need a camera that exists inside the level. And I also need to animate it returning control to my player camera. So I'm actually going to need both. So first of all, I need to make a camera to figure out what I want to shoot. So you can go up here to search classes. You can type in camera. You see there's also a cinematic camera over here. That just gives you more control. If you prefer that, like depth of field and stuff, you can do some of that. It's a little heavier, but I'll just show you with a basic camera. And drag and drop this into your level. And then reposition it where you want to do your opening shot. Now, if you don't have the local controls here, just come up here and you can click this little gizmo. It's a little bit harder to reposition if you're in world coordinate, right? So if you click on local, you should be able to reposition it pretty easily. Let's say something like, you can maybe even hide the player. I'm just going to keep it even simpler and just make sure I don't get the player in my shot. Say I do something like that. Consider where you want the camera to start. Let's make it start something like that. You don't even have to animate movement. I'm just going to show you that you can. So this is my starting camera. Maybe label that establishing shot camera or something. Or, sometimes I actually like a prefix. So cam underscore establishing shot. And I hate that capitalization's there. Okay, cool. All right. If you can create folders to group things if you want, create folder and whatever. But camera actor, maybe we should. All right. So I'm going to right click my level I'm going to do create folder and call this establishing. Oh, we'll call this CIN for cinematic underscore establishing, or we'll call this intro establishing. Then you can put your camera in there. And then you can also put your level sequence in there. Oh, what did I put in there? Yep, nope, that's right. And then your opening intro establishing shot, like that. All right, so that'll just make it easier to find. You might even want a folder for all of your cinematics if you have multiples, and then make that a subfolder. Okay, all right, we have our camera. Now what I want to do is I want to switch from this camera to the next. So I am going to need two different cameras as two different tracks. So in order to get the camera into my scene over here, I think I can just drag and drop. So my establishing shot can do that. So drag that in there, camera establishing shot. And I'm also going to need the camera associated with my third person character. Now in this case, I can just drag in my third person character and we'll pull the camera from that. So we'll figure that out later, but I do need a reference to my third person character. Okay, so once I have the information that I need in here, you know, in your establishing shot, you could actually animate other objects if you want. You could trigger animations from other objects, but I think this is enough setup and we can work from here. All right, cool. So now that we have everything set up, in future videos, we will animate all of our objects to create something interesting and create some movement.